we return to the DC comic event crisis Doomsday Clock, the unauthorized sequel of Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, written by Jeff Johns. So, as we last left off with Doomsday Clock, we had seen Dr. Manhattan basically reveal that he's basically Dan DiDio, as I covered in my theory on the Heroes in Crisis issue number 3 video, where basically Dr. Manhattan's Dan DiDio, the guy who thinks he at first hoped he could find a place among the DC universe, only to realize, I think I can change it. Is that a good idea, changing it? Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. And no one can question me because I'm the all-powerful one. Yes. So, yeah, and Ozymandias has the gigantic plan now that's going to probably get millions of people killed and or create World War meta, as I like to call it in the DC universe, since World War III is happening in the Watchmen universe as we currently talk. But, yeah, so Ozymandias, we start off with these two covers where we get Ozymandias' cat, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce, and a puppeteer, aka Ozymandias, going ahead and controlling Dr. Manhattan's Superman, as if it looked like it was a war of words on Mars, with Ozymandias being the puppeteer, which is a reference to Dr. Manhattan's of, I'm just a puppet who can see the strings, and whatnot. So we open up with the cat of Ozymandias staring into our souls. Anyways, and then they just go, and then they show Ozymandias somehow in the White House. What's going on? Wait, how did he get in the White House, the most secure place in the world, one of the most security fortified places in the world that houses the president, and you're going to tell me Ozymandias broke in, no alarms, no detections, with knowledge of stuff that he shouldn't know about because this is the future. Oh, by the way, when I say this is the future, I'll get to that in a moment. I'll get to that at the end. So, yeah, he says, yes, this one will do nicely. Basically reading a file of something, probably regarding to the Superman theory, and we cut to the Daily Planet, where basically where Lois is complaining to Clark about the crime of the century, the ultimate act of injustice. Someone wrecked Lois's Lane desk. Only for Superman to point out that it always looks like that. Oh, by the way, remember how it was said that the story Doomsday Clock takes place 1 year after every single title in the DC lineup, which means everything is catching up to this event, which also could be considered a gigantic prelude tie-ins when they ever bring up the whole Doomsday Clock inevitability. And also, at the Daily Planet, you see one of the news anchors holding a newspaper, say break in at the White House, and I'm like, how did they know that there was no security? Like, clearly the security sucks, and Ozymandias isn't even a metahuman, so he couldn't have used his powers. And even if he did have powers, the metahuman affairs would have had a counteractive with this. Just questions. So, yeah, in Action Comics, currently run by Brian Michael Bendis, the Ultimate Universe creator, the writer of Ultimate Spider-Man, is currently writing Superman comics, and I'm surprised no one screamed betrayal at him for joining up with DC after being so loyal to Marvel. And from what I've been gathering, everyone wants his head on a stake, because apparently Jonathan Kent's being ruined, Superman and Lois Lane's marriage is on rocky ground because Dan DiDio doesn't like Superman getting older, he doesn't like Jonathan Kent, he doesn't like the marriage of Superman and Lois Lane, even though everyone else does, And even those who are fans of Wonder Woman and Superman even say, well, it's Lois Lane and Superman. Like, it's hard to imagine them not being at least together. Yeah, so, and clearly in this entire issue, they actually look like they're happy and whatnot, and they're just having banter with back and forth. So clearly, everything is resolved as far as we know in Action Comics when it catches up. But yeah, she's explaining how someone trashed her desk and whatnot, and Superman's just amused a little bit. Like, she just says, "No, I have a system. Not to mention my drawers were locked." And Superman points out the freaking obvious by saying, "The locks aren't broken. I don't see any fingerprints." So either Superman knows the obvious and states that this is bullshit, and Lois is just really complaining right now, or, and this is another idea, this could probably be, yeah, I'm not even going to say it. We saw it at the end of Chapter 7. So anyways, Jimmy Olsen presents orange juice to Lois Lane, and she says she thinks it looks like Kool-Aid and how she doesn't drink Kool-Aid. And Jimmy Olsen apologizes, saying that was all they had. They were all out of OJ. And sure enough, our daily editorial news owner of Daily Planet is complaining, saying, "Why am I buying you breakfast when I should be docking your pay?" What? What is my story? Over 90% of the world, over 97% of the world's metahumans are American born and bred. And I want to know why. I'm working on it, Chief. Are they weapons of mass destruction hiding in plain sight? How did the government pull this off? Or maybe they didn't. Maybe only select few did it. Maybe did you ever consider that theory? Is Superman the only chief on this planet we can trust because he's from another planet and therefore is the most trustworthy individual we got? I wonder how a certain person at the White House is feeling about that mentality. If he even reads this book. I'm close. Close only counts in households and hand grenades. I'm working on it, Chief. And yeah, here's the thing that really kind of a little annoyed me. When Lois Lane was drinking the orange juice, she made a face, and when I saw this, I was like, wait, where have I seen this face before? It's the facial expression. It could have been, oh wait, it's Marionette. Yeah, she's making Lois on the page I'm looking at, since I'm reading from the scans as well, because I just want to. I have the issue, but I reading the scans from the computer is much easier instead of looking down and going back up and whatnot. But Lois Lane makes the face that Marionette makes when she's a kid in that flashback chapter. I don't get it. So, in a deliberate callback to Watchmen issue 12, the final issue at the final scene, where we get this huge, remember how at the end of Watchmen, we see this news kid heading to these files of her latest reports to run a paper on, and what he gets is Rorschach's journal. Well, she's getting another message from Rorschach. Something. Yeah, when I saw this, I thought it was going to be Rorschach's journal. Like, he somehow managed to get it back or something, but I realized that wouldn't work because Batman has the journal. Though at the same time, Batman probably did leave it on the owl ship, and Rorschach took it back. Reggie Long or whatever. So it could be either or, but what we find out is confusing. I'll get back to that in a moment. So right when Lois Lane is about to see what the heck this is addressed to her, and I am thinking, how does Rorschach know about Lois Lane? How does Reggie know who Lois Lane is? And let me guess. Let me guess. Someone's probably going to point out, well, you see, the Watchmen universe is our universe, but in a different time where the superheroes in costumes And the DC Universe characters do exist in comics, so maybe that's how. Okay, I'll buy that, but that had to have been a strange coincidence. Oh, by the way, Rorschach doesn't appear in, Reggie doesn't appear in here, Maya and Marionette with the Lantern don't appear in here, Dr. Manhattan doesn't appear in here. Yeah, it focuses mostly on Superman and, you know, how he's surrounded in all this Superman theory crisis and the World War meta approaching. But yeah, Moscow is currently being attacked. Yeah, over the protesting of Russia's new metahuman laws, forcing every newborn baby to be tested at birth for the metagene. And stories of the baby being already taken into custody have led to protests across the country, so Russia's currently in chaos. And then metahuman Firestorm is entered the Russian airspace and started beating the crap out of people. Yep. And Superman just says that Firestorm wasn't created by the government or whatnot. Yeah, Typhoon might disagree, but his head currently was blown off, so yeah. But yeah, Firestorm, yeah, he's currently pissed off about the whole stuff going on. And basically, our editor-in-chief basically goes all, why do I always have to yell to get someone's attention around here? This is big, folks. Who wants to go to Moscow? And Superman and Lois Lane raise their hand. And, yeah, Firestorm is fighting with Russia's version of Firestorm, and it's going all crazy, and this fight's breaking out because they demand answer, because Firestorm's kind of pissed off and demanding answers. And then something happens. We get yet another deliberate callback to Watchmen, where remember when Dr. Manhattan was freaking out when everyone was pressing microphones to him and say, do you have any confirmation about the cancer stuff by having sex? Apparently cancer is contagious if you're a very powerful deity. Care to comment, Dr. Manhattan? Care to comment? Comment? And then Dr. Manhattan screams out, leave me alone! And sure enough, they do a callback here where Firestorm tells everyone when the Russian people are currently trying to kill him to say, let go of me! But whereas Dr. Manhattan had the thought to teleport them all to a different location, Firestorm turns them into glass. Yeah. He crystallized a bunch of people, men, women, and children, and Firestorm is freaking out in guilt and panic, and the Prime Minister of Russia is yelling, this was a coordinated attack calculated by a terrorist of the American government. Yeah. And Superman and Lois asks Clark what the hell's going on, and then Clark disappears because he's Superman, and thus runs off to see what the hell's going on in order to get to the bottom of this. But first he goes to Karak, where actually it's a lot better than you would suspect. You know, Black Adam's the supreme dictator. He's an anti-hero. But from what it looks like, and this is just from appearances, a lot of people seem more free to be more themselves. Like we get Batman the anime series' character, Wacky Man, aka the Creeper. A bird, a plane, a Superman! With a kid who surprisingly looks like Mime when he was a kid. And then we see the giant woman from the Justice League Unlimited from the Justice League anime series. I completely forgot her name, so I don't care. And she as soon as just has to look at her and basically get the gist of, oh, you want to meet Black Adam, our supreme leader. Hello, Superman. And they shake hands after he welcomes him to Karak. And then we meet this person named Sandstorm, and as he gives him a tour, he says this: as you can see, Karak is a place of peace for all human and metahuman alike. We have no secrets. Okay, maybe that's a little debatable, but I have no secrets. I might be secretly an old man if we're going by the Injustice comic logic. Comics are weird. This is Sandstorm. Black Adam introduced, and then Sandstorm walks up and introduces himself, says, Superman! And Superman just says, hi, and then Sandstorm is revealed to be a boy who was from Syria, and as I was reading this, I realized, oh god, they're really doing this. This is what Black Adam says. And brace yourselves for those who have not read this. His family was killed in the Civil War. His younger sister gassed by Assad, the Russians' puppet. Okay. It was already pushing it when they started referencing Donald Trump and the geopolitical climate going on, and the Russian tension with the U.S., and the increasing hostile arms race that's happening again, but this time it's replaced with metahumans, and sure enough, like, okay, here's the thing. I can buy the Donald Trump stuff they reference, like Make America Great Again, or Make America Safe Again, as they was said in Doomsday Clock issue number 1, the fake news propaganda machine they were doing in the Watchmen universe when World War III was about to break out. And then they kept saying fake news and whatnot, so yeah, this was already getting politically charged, but they now reference in the great tragedy that happened in Syria that was being investigated and almost led to chaos, and they're referencing here, and yeah, this gets uncomfortable when they go there. I'm sure it was uncomfortable back then when Watchmen was made, but there was so much differences to it, like the Vietnam War being altered ending, and how there are no such things as godlike beings or people in costumes running around forming an organization or sanctioned by the government. There was none of that. Oh, the governments were all shady as fuck, as we can all agree on. But this, when you incorporate the real world elements and real history with comics, the form of escapism, or for some deeper understanding for superhero knowledge, or a better understanding if they were trying to teach you a moral lesson, but when you reference, real world stuff that had a gassing incident in a Civil War country, yeah. So yeah, anyways, Black Adam goes in to explain of Sandstorm and how he used his powers over the desert sands to free thousands of children from enslavement, including himself. He brought them to Karak, where all are welcome, even Firestorm. That is why you're here, is it not? I hear the same rumors you do that Firestorm fled to Karak. Superman explains that he only wants to talk to him, and that's all. And then Black Adam says, Firestorm is not in Karak. You shouldn't believe everything you see on the news or read in the press. I'm not even going to open that. You cannot trust the Russians or the Americans. It's a lie. It's truth. Have you asked the president about the Superman theory? I never did that because I didn't want to break his trust. Yeah, he never counters that. And Black Adam even says this: there are metahumans throughout Karak who were part of it. Things must change. The people with the power to change it must act. Though you may not be among them, because let's be honest, Superman, you're a glorified firefighter in a cape. And Superman just gets mad about that, saying this: careful, Adam, I didn't get my workout in today. You became a problem when you break the agreement. You became a problem when you break the agreement and with the world when you cross borders into other countries and take justice into your own hands. Me? How is that different? That any different from what you do? Yes, you who have been confirmed to be given full access to go to borders because you are not from this planet. Clearly, we think alike. And I just realized how much of a dumbass I am. Yeah, Superman even counters that point that Black Adam says by saying he's authorized to do it, and more importantly, he doesn't go out and murder people. Stay in your own country, Adam, for your sake and for the world's. And then Black Adam just goes ahead and tells him this: when you find Firestorm Superman, tell him he is welcome in Karak. Tell Firestorm he will be safe here from the governments and their puppets. Tell them all. And sure enough, Superman later on calls Lois and says that he's been looking all over the planet. And then Lois Lane points out that maybe he never left the country. Yeah. But then we get to this plot hole that I'm wondering, that I could be wrong, that is not a plot hole. Lois finally takes the time to get the whatever Rorschach sent in the mail. She doesn't get a return address, she just gets a flash drive. What? And then we get this, and that's when I'm left with questions. Company presents the American News. It's April 2nd, 1941, and as the roar rages on overseas, back home there's trouble. Saboteurs, spies, fascists. And then Lois just has this confused look saying, what is this? And then the news anchor back then says this: and only the Justice Society of America can stop them. The what? Who the hell are the Justice Society of America? What? Who the hell are the Justice Society of America? What? Okay. I'm going to be honest again. I am not well versed in the Rebirth Initiative. I am only knowing as far as I know, but I don't know. But I have been listening to Linkara, I've been listening to Comics Explained, and from everything I've been reading from the DC Encyclopedia sites, Lois Lane is a pre-New 52 incarnation, but from what I was gathering, I thought she was a post-Crisis on Infinite Earth version of her. So is Superman. She knows who the Justice Society should be. She is supposed to be from a time where the Justice Society was real. And this leads to more questions of where the hell did this tape come from if they don't exist? Where is God's spirit of vengeance? Where is he? And also, where the hell is Dr. Fate? Couldn't he just come in and say, he showed up in DC Rebirth one-shot special, and I heard that he was in Blue Beetle mostly. But if that's the case, then if he's here in this flashback, but Dr. Manhattan erased Jay Garrick, erased certain characters who are not supposed to be there, and also Hawkman's there, so 3 people from the Justice Society could clearly come in and explain what the hell happened, or Dr. Manhattan didn't do a thing, or something. If so, it was explained that Dr. Manhattan's more powerful than the more powerful, I can't even pronounce his name. I'm not even gonna try. He looks like a kid, but a giant old man. He's short, but is a giant. Okay, basically it's like, imagine if, the 21 Flavors of Awesomeness of Peter Dinklage. He looks like a tiny person, but he plays a giant character who has powers, but not in Infinity War style. So, yeah, there's that. Where the hell did Rorschach get this? How did he get this? If this is from Rorschach, or this was just different, where the hell did they get this stuff? And how does Lois Lane not know who they are if she's from the pre-New 52 Earth before Dr. Manhattan ripped everything apart? So, like, what happened? Okay, I'll get back to that later. So Superman goes ahead and finds Firestorm attempting to try and fix the kid that he had taken somehow. And Firestorm goes ahead. Ronnie talks to his professor in his head by basically saying, like, I can trust Superman because everyone can, Professor. You don't understand me. I just killed a whole bunch of people. I'm trying to reverse it. I think I can. So yeah, he thinks he's trying to change the boy back and proving that he can change everyone else back. Yeah, that's gonna end badly soon. And Firestorm then finally finds a way to save the kid, bring him back from his state he was in. And sure enough, Firestorm is happy. He's breaking down in tears. And then we go back to Russia, and sure enough, I'm going to attempt a Russian accent, but I could be wrong on how this is, though I'm pretty sure I'm going with the stereotypical Russian accent in spy movies. This is a message to America, for all the world to hear. We are at a violent crossroads, where the direction we turn will determine the future of our world. Major global conflicts have been avoided for decades, due to geostrategic balance of power which used to exist. The two supernuclear powers essentially agreed to stop producing weaponry capable of annihilation of our planet. This was the absolute linchpin of international security, along with all of the surrounding agreements that used to be in place. But on behalf of the hundreds of Russian citizens who were murdered by an American metahuman, a soldier of the United States government, I will no longer tolerate America's lies. They have been amassing an army covertly for more than a decade, forcing us to amass our own. Firestorm will be found for wherever he is, along with everyone he is connected to his creation, including members of the United States government. We are at war. And then Superman comes in and says, I was hoping I could convince you otherwise. Superman. Welcome, Superman. Thank you for coming. I assume you're here to help. I am. You could start by helping us find Firestorm. Turn him over. Although your tone is understandable, Posar. Remember, Superman speaks not for America, but for all the people on the planet. Thank you. I'd like to explain to everyone, there's still hope. I realize, in times like these, it's hard to remember that. What happened here is a tragedy that affects every one of us. I'm not here to pass judgment. That's not my role in the world. But I'm here to ask you to trust me. What Firestorm did was an accident, but it's one that we can fix. You all know I come from another planet, one that was called Krypton. My world did not survive because the council couldn't agree. They couldn't come together to try and save it. We need to come together now. We can't let those trying to divide us even further. The Superman theory has spread fear and hatred throughout the world. It's the source of the riots in our respective countries and the strife between our nations. And then Batman shows up. Yeah, I thought he was going to do something, but clearly he just pops in out here. What the hell is he doing? He's clearly trying to pledge his allegiance to rock and roll. And that will bring the end of civilization. And the tragedy here in Moscow, Clark, it's Bruce. I'm currently going through a more horrible time. Selina Kyle left me again. I don't know what to do. I proposed to her. I even was considering giving up being Batman. But I couldn't convince her. She said I needed to be Batman still. Even though we could make this work and I could still be Batman. But Dan DiDio's an asshole who doesn't love Jane. Who doesn't love Batman being happy even though everyone... Oh my god! Yeah, so... Batman is basically telling him to shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Where Superman just basically says what they're doing to the metahumans is wrong. And the whole treating of other people is wrong. And then Superman says, Firestorm is not the villain you believe he is. And then Batman, I think, comes in and says, he's a reckless kid who has too much power. Yes, you can trust me. It's not like I've lied many times, built a giant satellite to spy on all the heroes, go ahead and build another satellite that turned people into spider robots, and only for that to get undone through some wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff that never was explained. And I lied about not having kryptonite in my belt, in my utility belt. So I'm definitely trustworthy. And Superman then tries to explain that he accidentally, the people that Firestorm accidentally hurt can be changed back, but then Vladimir Putin decides to be, okay, I'm not even going to say anything insulting because I know I might piss someone off. And Vladimir Putin says, enough! I have proof Pulsar does. Firestorm is an American agent and terrorist. Superman, this was an attack on the people of Russia. And for you to try and suggest otherwise in the presence of those he killed, Firestorm can turn them back. Firestorm murdered my child! And then, at the worst timing, Firestorm returns. And then Superman tries to explain what the hell's going on, and he says that this is not what's going on. And Vladimir Putin's wondering, what trickery is this, Superman? The Russian soldiers start to fire when Firestorm is explaining, no way, I can fix this, I can fix everything, you see? And Superman is now deflecting the bullets and trying to protect everyone from getting killed. And the Russians accidentally shoot fire on the glass people, killing them. Firestorm attacks, worsening things already, saying, you're killing them! And whatnot. We need to end this, the Red Star says. But that's Superman! What do we do? I don't know what you do. I don't care what you do, Krista. Wait, I just realized that. We're fighting Superman. It's not like there's going to be a naked blue man that's going to be responsible for everything in the end. Because that would be stupid. You protect our country, or I put you back in that prison you were rotting in. Krista is a prisoner, so you made her a slave. Didn't you? And sure enough, the rest of the Russian League of Metahumans attack Superman and Firestorm, and sure enough, Firestorm tries to explain that he can save them, he can fix them, and he can turn them back into flesh and blood, but the Russian government's troops are being massive dumbasses and running over the corpses, killing them more. Superman is enraged and attacks a Russian tank. Yeah, that's going to make things worse. Lois is in shock of what the hell's going on. Batman's pissed off, saying, damn it. And basically, Firestorm's trying to say he can still save them. And yeah, it's pretty much nearly too late. He can't fix them. A lot of them are too broken. And sure enough, Superman is now pissed off. And it looks like Firestorm's about to implode. And Batman's heading to Moscow. Chaos in the Red Square. Superman has sided with Firestorm. Superman, listen to me. The energy rings are spiking. Don't lose control again, Ronnie. Superman, I'm okay. It's not Firestorm. It's rock and roll. Get out of there. And sure enough, a gigantic blue explosion occurs, killing possibly everyone who is not God, possibly starring Batman in a freak accident with all those glass shards. Lois Lane drops her coffee mug, the TVs go out, and Ozymandias watches in his somehow quickly established lair and sits there and says, yes, it begins. My beginnings to start World War Meta. That will clearly save the world from itself. I am a great person. And then we end this issue with a quote. The urge to save humanity is almost as always a false front for the urge to rule. And then we cut to these newspaper articles this is where I said certain things can't work here. With Ozymandias somehow breaking into the White House, or how he managed to somehow get in without any detection. The newspapers are released that explains what happened in the aftermath of the Russian incident. And the date says June 5th, 2019. This whole comic takes place in 2019. So, does that mean Trump is president in the DC universe? Because, let's be real, that would explain certain things, but I'm just joking on that. But Vladimir Putin's still around. Vladimir Putin's in this universe. The incident that happened in Syria with Assad and the gas attack that happened and the investigation that was launched, that happened. So Trump's the president? Is that what happened? Yeah, but sure enough, all these articles start coming out and basically condemning what Superman did, saying he took a wrong side, and yeah, it's all basically made things worse. Superman's disappeared, Firestorm is missing, and now we don't know what the hell is going to happen. All I know is that the blue light, it either was Dr. Manhattan or Ozymandias. And when I was reading this, I realized something about Ozymandias. Remember how he says he can fix everything and how he can save the world? I had realized something. Remember how I said Dr. Manhattan was basically Dan DiDio, who thought he could live among the established DC universe, but he couldn't stand it and changed it all up for no reason, and now is on the verge of destruction? Well, Ozymandias is basically another version of Dan DiDio. No, really think about it. This Ozymandias thinks he's going to save the world by basically starting World War Meta. Because one plan failed, I'll try again and risk destroying both worlds. And so Ozymandias, what he's doing in this comic is basically Dan DiDio now. At first he was Ozymandias looking like he reformed, then he went back into his Ozymandias form for Watchmen, and now he's turned into Dan DiDio Ozymandias, where he thinks he's going to save the world by killing everything that everyone loves and destroying all joy in the world. Is Jeff Johns trying to satirize Dan DiDio through Watchmen? Because that would actually be the most powerful prank you could do. You basically wrote a story and says, here's the story. Okay. These stuff looks very familiar. I feel like I've seen this somewhere online. It could be nothing. Here's the, okay, we'll get our artist team to release it bi-monthly. Okay. This has to be shooting at Dan DiDio a little bit. This has to be taking shots at Dan DiDio. I'm not saying that Dr. Manhattan and Ozymandias' personalities don't match with the Watchmen universe. It does. Though Dr. Manhattan might be a little up and up. We haven't seen much of him to explore how he currently is. He looks like he's still the same, but he seems to be a little bit more angrier, just dealing with the past people he used to know and hates it. Like Dan DiDio hating Wally West with a fiery passion. For a reason that made no sense when I learned about why he said that. He just joked around and said, oh, I just hate Wally West because, everyone keeps asking me why I hate Nightwing. I really have issues, don't I? I'm Dan DiDio. I'm the president of DC Entertainment and DC Comics. I clearly have priorities straight regarding character establishment. But yeah, I really had hoped to see Wally West show up in this series. He's dead in Heroes in Crisis. I'm sure Dan DiDio is happy, but now I'm pretty sure Jeff Johns was pissed off knowing that 2 years of hard work was just all for nothing. Unless they reverse the death, I don't see him showing up in this comic. But yeah, now we know, now things have really escalated. World War Meta is about to start soon, probably. Ozymandias is saving the world. Okay, at least my character, my fan fiction, made more sense. He was going to go ahead, wipe out the human race, bring all the good people back with the Dragon Balls, and then go ahead and build an orderly utopia with his military. Anyways, that's a different story. That's a different video discussion altogether. But yeah, Ozymandias and Dr. Manhattan are now big players in this war of attrition to determine where the future goes. Also, Ozymandias has guns. But that does lead to the question, if that's Firestorm, then what the hell was Dr. Like, when I first read this, I was thinking, like, oh god, did Ozymandias clone Firestorm somehow? Because I'll be freaking amazed if he did that. But yeah, so this story reached a very politically charged level where they reference real life issues that are going on and real life tragedies and making references to anything related to Donald Trump. So that leads to, Doomsday Clock issue 8, it was good. It was good. I don't like this bi-monthly schedule, but I'd rather have a comic get delayed so long it's just perfected and much more improved. And plus, I think there was a reason for that because they said they wanted to make everything catch up to this point. But yeah, I'm left with some questions like, where did Rorschach get those tapes of the Justice Society? Like, I thought he was going to be sending Rorschach's journal, the original Rorschach, Walter Kovac. I thought he was sending the journal to Lois Lane. It would have been real. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have really said this ripped off Watchmen issue 12 at the end, where the newspaper kid goes ahead and grabs the journal for the inevitable article that will lead to the end of the destruction of humanity in the Watchmen universe. But this would actually, in turn, save the Earth of DC Universe if Lois Lane was given Rorschach's journal. But yeah, this issue was good. I think they said they were going to do the next issue in January because the new one was delayed because this issue got delayed 1 week. So yeah, and also issue 8, this had actually been given. This one was actually, I'm not kidding, was leaked because Vladimir Putin was in this, and the Russian country and Russia leaked it onto the internet. Yeah. Also, I was wondering if Dr. Manhattan really was the one that killed Firestorm, as indicated by that blue glow. I was like, can't he just do what Thanos did and snap his fingers? Like in the issue 9 cover, we clearly see him do the Thanos with just a sweep of his hand, where he basically kills the DC universe. Why not just do that? But yeah, the next issue number 9, is set to come out on January 23rd. Can't wait for that. That means it's only going to be a month later. Like I said, because Doomsday Clock issue number 8 was delayed. So this is going to be a very interesting time. I can't wait what's going to happen. This was my thoughts on Doomsday Clock issue number 8 by Jeff Johns by DC Comics. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. If you like, comment, subscribe, and donate, stay tuned for more.